To test or not to test? That is the question. Okay, so former English teacher in me loves the homage to Shakespeare and Hamlet, but want to talk about in this episode the thinking around PAD testing. And I know a lot of you are getting ready to launch your education programs out in the field, working with providers, making recommendations as to whether or not they should include this early detection screening test as part of their protocol. And I would say absolutely 100%, without a doubt, yes. And I know that there's a lot of concern, especially because now in V28, PAD without complications no longer risk suggests. But here's the thing. Not the most important point is that it's still risk adjust in V24, and you still have a couple more years for V24 to play out before it's entirely gone. Number two, I happen to be a part of that probably very small cadre of people that believe that CMS in their infinite wisdom will bring back PAD without complications. And this is why I think so. A few things, and I'm going to share the links for you, but love research, believe in reviewing peer-reviewed studies, and so I found a few that I want to share with you, and one is one that was done that indicated that when patients go through early screening for PAD, the study found that when patients are identified with PAD and they're asymptomatic, often the runway to become complicated to the degree that would justify them then rolling into a HCC on V28 where PAD could be credited with a risk factor is about a year's time. It's not a lot of time, guys. And there's a lot that goes into that too, like managing the condition. And we know that a lot of times patients are not doing the things, at least until they're experiencing symptoms. They may not be doing the things that they need to do in order to stave off the progression of that disease. And so just thinking about, I would want to know, right, early on, whether or not that patient has been diagnosed or has PAD uncomplicated for a lot of reasons. One, for suspecting. Two, so I could better manage the condition and hopefully help those patients implement lifestyle changes, behavior modification that might make the outcome of their disease and their disease progression different than what we would expect. And then also too, knowing or at least having a heads up that probably within a year's time, unfortunately, or not that long after, that they may experience or begin to experience symptoms that would then push them into that complicated range. And you would want to capture that. And we know that to be successful in value-based care, one of the most important components is ensuring that you are capturing the acuity of patients early. And early, like as soon as they're diagnosed, that you're submitting that diagnosis, because it gives you an opportunity to be reimbursed that much sooner for that disease. And then you have the monies that are necessary to run those programs. Other reasons why I would include early screening or screening for the early detection of PAD in my value-based care programs would be patient satisfaction, helping patients implement change and really get positive outcomes. Other reasons would be health equity. We know that not only with age does prevalence of PAD increase, but also too it's highest among certain ethnic populations, especially among our Hispanic and African American populations. And so when we talk about health equity, the sooner that you can have everyone tested, and especially over the age, I would say over the age of 50 is when we really start to see the progression. I know some folks will wait till 60, but I advocate for 50. We know by the time of 70, at least 2/3 of the population will typically have a diagnosis for PAD. I know also too some of the argument against that screening program is around cost, and working with medical groups have talked through when you have asymptomatic PAD, it's not requiring a Doppler. You would manage it in the same way And here's the other kicker too, and I'm going to share with you this other study that was done that was actually just published in 2022. So I love that it's current research. But what it found was that when you compared early detection and screening programs, that they were actually far more cost effective in managing cost than anything else, right? Than that patient then developing into having a more complicated PAD. And when I think about value-based care, there's really three things that you need to attend to. And risk adjustment has been relatively easy, I think, for most folks over the years. But now the margins are slimmer. With V28, it's getting harder. You want to make sure, too, that you're watching for making sure that you're submitting data that's not only justified, but that's true for the patient. And so there should be evidence throughout the chart within the given year that the patient has that condition and it's actively being managed. And active management can be a watchful waiting. And so again, with PAD, you have that diagnosis in the chart. You're monitoring it. You're trying to implement lifestyle and behavioral changes. And then again, just knowing, like I said, that the progression from without symptoms or asymptomatic to symptomatic with the complications of the nature that are included in V28 under that HCC usually doesn't take a long time. The other component to value-based care in order to be successful, right, are all the preventative measures, patient satisfaction, so all the things that go into your quality work. And then I think the one that is the most important is becoming the most important, and one that I think does not yet get enough attention, though I know it, is that total cost of care. And so knowing that implementing a early detection screening program could save you money in the long run, as opposed to letting patients have this condition unmonitored to the point where then they're symptomatic. That will actually cost you more money in the long run. And so it's much wiser to catch these things early. And then again, you have an opportunity to actually have an impact. And so why not? All right. So that's my word on why I think that any program, that's why I think any value-based care program worth its mettle absolutely 100% has screenings included when physicians are looking at patients. And number one in my mind is to make sure to include a screening for PAD detection. All right. Have a great week and talk soon. Bye.